Right. Hello, group number one. Here is something I've put together for your project. This is running with the ideas of sparklers through the trees. So this is what it looks like. Actually, this is what it looks like. What I'm doing is I'm going to this null at the end here. N-U-L-L, the null. And I'm right clicking and looking for view, and that'll give me a big picture of what it's going to look like. So we've got our trees and we've got our sparkler that's running through the woods. Now I don't know if this is what you were thinking of, but I thought it was a good place to start. Now this is probably the most complex of the ones I've put together today. But the idea is not to be too worried about all of it, but just to look at a few parts and have a play with them and see how it all works. Because we're not after you guys programming all of this, we're after you guys getting some understanding of the basic flow. So what we've got in this section here is how the trees are made. So this bit here, I started out with a sphere and I put some noise, made it wobble around, and that's the tops of the trees. And then I've got a tube, and that's the trunks of the trees. So I've done a few things to put them all together. But what we have is, in terms of the colours that we've got on the trees, I've used a photo here, a bit of a nature photo here. And what you can do is go and find other photos, and so all you need to do is drag a photo that you like, ideally something which will be a good green color for the trees, and you can replace this one here by dragging the photo in and just dropping it on the black section where the mouse is here, and then connecting it up like this one is connected up like this, just from there to there, like so. So if I did that by making another, like when you drag a photo in, it will automatically become this movie file in. But if I make a movie file in myself, I can then choose, from going up here I can choose, well I'll stick with a banana, that's the default one. So if we have a look at our sort of big overall view, how that's going to look, and I put the banana in there, and all I need to do is I've put the movie file in, and I'll just make the line from there to there, and now it's bananas. Bad gag, sorry, but you can see the trees now look different. And if I did something like I wanted to move the bananas around, or the banana, because it's only one, it's just being repeated, I could do something like get the banana to rotate, and as that banana was rotating, it would start moving around, and that would change what was happening on the trees. So that's kind of cool. I don't think a banana is probably what you're after, but it's kind of fun. Anyway, I'll get rid of that for the moment, and I'll put that green back there, and we've got our trees back. So that's the first thing to play with. So what I'll do is I'll make that red. So whatever I make red is something for you to play with and have a look at. The next thing is the forest floor. Once again, I've made that, I've got a grid here, which is just like a rectangle, and that makes the floor, and I've put this photo on top of it. Likewise, you can bring a movie file in and put a different picture in there. You can just drag that in and drop it, and then connect it. This one is slightly different. You don't connect when you're connecting to a Phong, you connect by dragging and dropping like that, and you go for the first thing at the top, the color map. So now we've got a giant banana on the ground. Okay, so all we're really doing, it's like putting clothing on something. You're just getting a picture, you're dropping a picture onto the object, and it kind of wraps itself around it. Okay, so I'll take that one away and I'll make this one red so you can play with that. Don't worry if you break something, just close the file and reopen it and it'll all be there. And the last thing to look at here is this our sparkler. So there's our sparkler there, and the sparkler is moving around left and right, which is on the x-axis, and then further away and closer to us, which is on the z, and it's not really moving much up and down because I don't want it to go in the trees because we won't be able to see it at all. So really this is the x-axis here, and this is the z. So I'll leave a couple of notes on there, but really the ones to play around with are the x and the z, and you can do that by clicking on them, and then when you see it's a math chop here, so you can click on them, hit range, and then when you change these numbers here, that will make it move. This will be further to the left and this will be further to the right. So if you go further in the negative here, that'll go to the left, and further, like if I made these, this is negative 15 to the left and 80 to the right. If I made that 0 and I made that 10, then pretty much it stopped close to the middle. It's not moving much to the left or the right. If I put it back to negative 15, then it'll move. When it moves, it'll go more to the left. So it's kind of going from the middle to the left. And then over here, let's say I take it to 70 or so, it'll start moving more to the right, like that. So you can play with that. And the same if you go and you look at the Z down here. The range there is 0 to 220. If you made that range to like 220 is close. So if you made the range to be 200 to 220, then it should come up closer. We might need to go a bit higher than that. Let's say 240 to 280. There we go. It's now in front of these trees here. Okay, so it's moved a bit closer. Have a play with that. Break things, restart them, just have some fun. And try and get some lovely green photos to retexture what we have here. So we can make it more what you might be thinking of. And if it's not what you're thinking of, then we'll look at another way. But at the moment, I'm thinking we could control this pink sparkly thing with one of the connects and have it being interactive in that way, so you can move through the woods with your hand. Okay, good one, group 1. Talk to you soon. Ciao.